Hey, welcome to Vance Tried It. Today we're going to be making some hot sauce, and there's a couple shout outs I need to give out before we get started. First off, Miss Marybelle provided these hot peppers for us, and Miss Barbara provided these tomatoes. They all come from their garden. And also, I want to give a shout out to Miss Chantel. Miss Chantel is the inspiration for this recipe that I was looking at a recipe she has on her website, thenakedcuisine.com, and I'm going to be using that as a basis. I'm going to change it a little bit up, but not a whole lot. But we're going to start off first off by putting the tomatoes and these peppers, and I've just sliced the tomatoes in half. I cored them, took out most of the stem part, and then I took the stems off of these peppers and just going to put those on this baking sheet that I lined with parchment paper, and we're just going to sprinkle about a healthy tablespoon of minced garlic, and you can use fresh garlic if you want. That is perfectly fine. In fact, it's probably a great idea, but I have this minced garlic here, and so that's what I'm using. So we're going to put that all on the pan here, and we're going to take just a little bit of olive oil, I think, yeah, and we're just going to sprinkle some olive oil on here. And I have my oven heated up to 400 degrees, and so we're going to put this in the oven to roast it for 30 minutes. When this is done, I'll get back to you so we can finish this process up. I'll see you here in a little bit. Okay, so we've been roasting these tomatoes, garlic, and peppers for about 30 minutes. So we're going to take them out of the oven and go on to the next step of our process, making hot sauce. Ooh, it smells delicious. I can tell you that right now. And so what we're going to do, actually I'm going to leave these gloves on, is we're going to put this in our blender. And we're going to blend this all up. Actually, let me get the bigger pieces off of here. Just put them in here. Otherwise, I think I'm going to make a mess. There we go. See what I can do without the oven gloves. Pour all that goodness in there. Got one stubborn little pepper, didn't want to go in there. We'll take that off the side. We do have just a little bit of juice left over in here. And so we have our garlic, our tomatoes, our peppers in here. To that we're going to add about a teaspoon of salt. Going to add about a quarter cup of apple cider vinegar. You can use any type of vinegar you want, but the apple cider vinegar I think is going to give it a really good flavor. And we're going to use 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Once again, you can use any sugar you want. You can use even stevia or truvia, something like that if you want to. And then we're also going to add just about another quarter cup of water. We're going to put our lid on here, and we're going to give it a go. am a big fan of hot sauce. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this lid off of here. But as I was saying, I am a big fan of hot sauce. Big fan of picante sauce. Probably couldn't understand anything I just said. Big fan of hot sauce, picante sauce, all that type of stuff. I really like it. And so these peppers are probably what I would call medium hot to hot peppers that I put in here. But the vinegar and the tomatoes are really going to start to really reduce some of that heat in there. Now, at this point in the process, you have a decision to make, and that is, do you want this to be strained or not strained? Do you want a liquid hot sauce, or do you want a more chunky hot sauce? What? That didn't come out of there very well. That's all right. We're going to now take this hot sauce. Like I said, you can strain it now if you want to, but I'm going to leave mine a little bit chunky here. I'm going to put it in this pan. I'm going to put this pan on pretty low, medium low type heat over here. And what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to bring it to a really low boil. I'm going to be then doing a couple things when I do that. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reducing it down, getting rid of some of that water content that I added into it and that's in there with the tomatoes just naturally. But the other thing I'm going to be doing is when you cook it, it will help it to preserve a little bit longer. You're going to be basically removing some of the impurities. So, how long will this last in the refrigerator? I would say that if you don't go through this step of heating it, it will last a couple weeks to maybe a month safely in the refrigerator. When you heat it like this and bring it to a low boil, let it cook off a little bit, let that heat kind of get rid of a lot of the impurities, then I think you're going to be looking at a month to 2 months in the refrigerator. And if you really wanted it to be able to withstand a longer time, then you could just take this and you could can it. We are not going to be canning it. We're going to be putting it into some jars, but they're not canning jars. And so we're just going to want to try and prolong the shelf life of this. And I think I have enough of the containers, but I'm not sure. And I'll just show you what I got. They're right over here. And they're over there in my drainer because I just washed these up. Now these are actually what they call dry containers. These are definitely, you can't can with these. And really they're not meant for wet stuff, but we're going to use it for wet stuff. It's not going to hurt anything. Really the only difference is there's no seal on the inside. So when we put the lids on, it's not going to be super secure. If you spilt it, you might get some leaking out, but we're just going to try and not to seal it. But there just weren't a lot of options for me as far as getting something smaller, which I definitely wanted, and also something that was really meant to hold liquids. Now you can go online, and I'll try to find something online on Amazon if you wanted to get some liquid holding jars or bottles, then I'll try to find some of those online. But this is just what I was able to find and pick up just today. And so these are, I think, going to be just fine for us. Another option you have is you can take some of this and you can freeze it. In fact, what you might want to do is if you want to put this in a little bit more of a freezer safe container and just kind of portion it out into the size that you think you would readily use in a week or two, you could easily freeze portions of this, and then you can come back and you can just thaw it out in the refrigerator as you need it. And so we are starting to get a little bit of a boil on here. And hey, while we are getting this heated up, I'll tell you what, why don't you go ahead and go down in the comment section there and just leave me a comment. Let me know, what is your favorite hot sauce? Are you a Frank's? Are you a Tabasco? Is there some other brand that you like? Because there's a ton of different brands of hot sauces for sure. And then while you're down there, go ahead and like this video and share this video, and most importantly, subscribe to this video. Sure would be helping me out a lot. And so as this heats up, really what we're looking at is we're kind of wanting to get just that spot where it's foaming up pretty well. And so I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and let this get heated up to where we need it, and then cool back down, because we want it to be cooled off a little bit before we start putting it in the jars. So I'm going to get it up to where it's nice and foaming, just been at a slow boil, and then I'm going to wait until it cools off, and we'll get back to you when we're ready to put it in the jars, and most importantly, when we're ready to give it a taste. Okay, so we have let our hot sauce cool off, and we're ready to put it in these containers, but first we're going to give it a taste. So I just have this little cracker here. I'm going to be dipping in the hot sauce. I'm going to get a good amount on here because I can typically handle the heat. So let's see what this is like. Yeah, I mean, this is a really good hot sauce. Let me just get a taste of it without the cracker too, just to be double sure what I'm going to tell you about how good this is. Yeah, I would say that this has like a medium heat to it. You can definitely taste a little bit of that vinegar, but I think it's just the right amount. This does not taste like any sort of a hot sauce that you're going to buy at the store. It tastes homemade. And so if you're looking for some heat and something a little bit different, a little bit tangy and sweet and hot all rolled into one, this is a good option for you. And so look, here, the bottom line is, as we put this into our containers, we're just going to take a little bit of a funnel. We'll pour it in here just like this. Just like that. We're just going to fill these bad boys up, and we're going to have some hot sauce. And look, I tried it. You should too.